Story number one. Is President Trump's foreign policy strategy being taken as a joke? Folks, we've seen some things with this administration. We've seen the ups and downs. We've dibbled and dabbled into the mind of not only just psychotic human beings, but everybody. We've learned that everybody has a different opinion and different ways, different methods of living life. And you can look at these leaders, these people who are considered leaders of the country, not even just in America, but you can look at people like Kim Jong Un. These people are have a different character, and it kind of makes you sit and think about what do these guys do in their spare time. Like, I mean, you look at these guys. They're having their family members killed, throwing people off. I mean, having people thrown off balconies. And I mean, you look at it. Even I know everybody hates to talk about Alex Jones or not. Some people enjoy talking about conspiracy gurus, but Alex Jones. I don't know if people remember the Bohemian Grove thing. If you're a big news guru and you know a lot about Bohemian Grove, where they were talking about how these leaders they have like seances, and I mean, I don't know if the story is true, but you look at these people's character and you ask themselves what makes them different from just the average working man or the average person. And you look at a lot of people who are in corporate positions. I got some stories, the story that surfaced in about how some of these corporate CEOs are living lavish. I mean, big time lives, and they've got about the 99% of the population living like ants, picking up crumbs, and but you look at there's a story the surface. I don't know if everybody remember Otto Warmbier's mother. She's been saying that North Korea is like a cancer on Earth, and she's calling diplomacy talks with this country is almost like a charade. What I think what's happening, if I can do anything in my allotted amount of time on this show, is to try to get people to understand that we're different. We're dealing with a different type of atmosphere now that people are more aware to their surroundings. Back in the day, there wasn't a lot of information being lashed out, but now people are starting to see patterns in leadership, and they're starting to see patterns in just the way things are done across the world. And some people are just, at the end of the day, they're starting to think that these people who are on the chessboard moving chess pieces may just be either sick or just not having the average, or they don't have. You look at things like, you listen to some of the. I often say that a computer has no emotion. This is a good analogy to use. You plug into a computer, it has to do everything. You tell it, it has no emotion. You tell it to kill somebody, it will kill somebody. But I often mention this about human beings, is that we have the ability to show sympathy. Now, when you look at this open ball field of this new political arena that we're in, you're seeing a lot of talking points about that are throwing human sympathy in there, and there some people are using this as political leverage. Especially when you look at the border crisis, this border crisis, and we look how we monitor this present strategy. A lot of people are wondering, like, what do you do when you have a country that has less resources than you have, and the people, and you have a big powerhouse as your next door neighbor. Even in the ghettos of America, in the ghettos of life, you will have your neighbor coming over wanting to borrow something. I think Chris Tucker, he made this joke a long time ago on Def Comedy Jam. People want to borrow things from their neighbors, and then that's just it's just when you live in bad circumstances, and you have a neighbor, and anybody who's got neighbors, they know that neighbors will find a way to borrow something, or they will start to get along, and sometimes neighbors don't get along. But that's the thing about being neighbors. Sometimes you'll know something about a neighbor. You'll look at a neighbor. You'll be like, "Hey, this guy, he's got to be living a lot. I mean, he's coming around with BMWs." Next thing you know, the whole neighborhood knows what that neighbor is doing. And if you come across some money, I can guarantee that the whole neighborhood is going to find out. So what you see happening in this foreign policy, even in this policy strategy, even with neighbors, but all across the world, is everybody's been trying to figure out how the United States has been winning this game. I was reading about watching a bunch of videos about Sumerian culture, and how they were like an advanced civilization. You know, they were, I think they were before, I believe they were before the Egyptians, but they were like one of the first civilizations of people to create an organized language. They had so they're all of their surrounding neighbors was wondering like, how in the world are these people able to live this life? And you look at what's happening in America right now. This is the same. Only thing about the Sumerians is that they ran out of juice, but the United States has come up with chemistry discoveries, patent discoveries, car designs, creativity on a whole nother level. And you got people like China who has been building their military off U.S. technology. They've been stealing patent designs. Folks, this is what's happening. And that's why I have to dissect this stuff for you, because I can't make it any clearer. Either everybody in this country is going to either get on the same page and try to save what little little life we have left in each other, because you see it is causing mass. Look at Venezuela, and look at how Russia, Putin may be trying to weasel his way into gaining ground. Representative McCall, he says that we haven't seen Russia and Western Hemisphere this strongly since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Folks, if this is why Americans need to get on the same page. If I have to play the unifier as the mediator in this game of radio, that's what I have to do. But it's you look at Iran, and how you look at Kim Jong-un and how they're playing this game of missiles and nuclear weapons. They're having meetings. What are they talking about in those meetings? I can guarantee you they're talking about what the U.S. has got and what they need. You look at this. Okay, you interfere with the elections by altering some things around. Why would you do that? If you can't look at the details of what's happening in this house we live in America, you have to use that term. We all live in this house. No matter what you say, no matter how much hatred there is or from the past, we're all living in this big house that used to belong. I believe it's still some of the land still, but the land has been all divided all over the place. But we're all here. And a lot of people living in this house cannot get along for nothing. Nothing. I mean, they cannot get along. You look at all the past about slavery, about the founding fathers, about the Indians, about my ancestors got over here, about all of this supremacy stuff, and you get all these people living in one house. Everybody else around them are looking at the arguments, they're looking at all the discussions, and they're saying, I'm telling you, you need to go over there. We'll spy, we'll get this information, we'll send little dolphins around their ports, get them all, and then on top of that, we'll mess with their elections, get everybody all riled up about racial wars. We'll have our good old buddy Osama bin Laden. We'll have him mess with their financial system. We'll have him send airplanes into the towers. Folks, they're plotting on this they've got all the details, they've been collecting it for years. And you have to ask yourself, is everything that's happening in this American household, how in the world has all this information got out across the whole entire globe? And everybody wants a piece. So you gotta, they're laughing at the president's I think I've seen some interviews where you actually had leaders at some of these summits laughing at the president. You look at this situation, and you look at how did it get like this, and you've got this country. One thing I can say that you have to look at the positive. Like I said, I have to be optimistic. This country provides for those who have bad needs. We try to provide for the poor. You have tons of nonprofit philanthropists. You have charity organizations. This country is even polite to gays and lesbians. This country is always, people are always trying to practice mercy. You look at the code of conduct by the police officers, they try, some of them fail. You look at the policies between the Justice Department and the criminals, we give people a chance in the criminal justice system. Some of the other countries, they're dictators, they're chopping people's heads off. You have no due process of law. So you have to ask yourself, in this, do we want to give up all this great opportunity we have to be greater? It's unbelievable. And you look at some of these stories. I have to play the unifier today because it's not being, I don't think it's being accomplished in Washington, D.C. I don't see it being accomplished. You're looking at they're talking about a president, an administration who has reportedly made 10,000 false claims as the president. So I said, I have nothing against the Trump administration. I have nothing against any administration because I know that's a hell of a job. But something has happened in Washington, and a lot of Americans are wondering, is it for the greater good of America? That's story number one. Is the President Trump's foreign policy strategy being taken as a joke? And you can look at what's happening, how people are moving the chess pieces, and what is actually happening on this global chessboard that we're seeing. And you have to ask yourself, is it being taken as a joke? You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West. If you want to contribute any way, help out, all you have to do is visit www.methodinc.com. I am in the air, folks. I'm not like Air Jordan. My vocal range is in the air, baby. I'm gliding. I'm dunking on people, trying to figure out every story every week. And I'm telling you, when you skyline, I don't even have to put on fancy shoes to glide to glide in the air. All I have to do is say something great about myself. Tell myself how pretty I am in the mirror sometimes. Tell myself how I can be great or how I can feel great. But you can make me feel great in one way too. All you have to do is visit www.methodinc.com, where you can just buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Give me some relief.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.